잠시 후 영어 영역 듣기 및 말하기 평가 방송을 시작하겠습니다. 수험생 여러분은 편안한 마음으로 방송에 귀를 기울여 주시고 방송 담당 선생님께서는 스피커의 음량을 알맞게 조절해 주십시오. 그러면 지금부터 듣기 및 말하기 평가를 시작하겠습니다. 방송을 잘 듣고 답을 하기 바랍니다.
Teenagers these days, they are so constantly plugged into mobile devices, texting friends, checking social media, streaming music. Well, new study suggests that all that screen time may put teenagers at risk of developing symptoms of ADHD. NPR's Ritu Chatterjee has more.
Kids with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder have trouble focusing and controlling their impulses. Old-fashioned screen time, TV and video games, has been shown to put kids at risk of this disorder. Psychologist Adam Leventhal wanted to know if modern screens, phones, tablets, laptops, also have a similar impact.
The new modern devices have such a high performance level. They're so fast. They're accessible all the time.
Leventhal is at the University of Southern California. He and his colleagues studied high school students in Los Angeles County over a period of 2 years.
We worked with 10 high schools, and we surveyed 2,587 high school students at the beginning of 10th grade.
They gave the students a questionnaire listing the symptoms of the disorder, a standard part of ADHD diagnosis. They only studied teens who showed no symptoms at the beginning of the study. Over the next 2 years, the researchers came back every 6 months and surveyed the students again on their symptoms. They also asked the students how frequently they participated in numerous mobile or online activities, everything from
social media use like Instagram to video streaming like Netflix to even texting.
They found that by and large, the kids who were more heavily engaged with digital activities had a higher prevalence of symptoms. In the group that did all of the listed activities many times a day, 1 in 10 showed symptoms.
So to have 10-ish% have an occurrence of new symptoms is fairly high.
Now, the study did not diagnose any kids with ADHD. The diagnosis requires a clinician. But Leventhal says the appearance of symptoms over time is troubling. Jenny Rudesky agrees. She's a pediatrician at the University of Michigan's C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. She wasn't involved in the new study, which is published in the Journal of the American Medical Association.
It's the first piece of longitudinal research where children have been followed over time, and there have been very relevant measures of the type of media that children are using today.
Rudesky says parents should spend time with their kids discussing and unpacking what they do online and why they do it.
So that they don't all feel this pressure to be online constantly in order to feel social acceptance or to feel relevance.
And that, she says, can help them be more selective in their use of mobile devices. Ritu Chatterjee, NPR News.
1번 2번 3번 '방송을 잘 듣고 답을 하기 바랍니다.
This week, the Trump administration revoked federal guidelines on affirmative action from the Obama era. Those guidelines encourage the consideration of race in admissions at schools and universities. Trump officials instead are promoting a race-neutral approach. We wanted to know how the Trump administration's announcement will affect college admissions. John Backenstead is an associate vice president at DePaul University in Chicago. He oversees undergraduate admissions there. He joins us now from Naperville, Illinois. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here, Linda. Thank you.
So what is your reaction to the Trump administration's decision to revoke the Obama guidelines?
Well, I don't think it will have much effect on colleges and universities in the short term. And in fact, a few university systems have already come out and said that they're not going to change anything that they're doing currently with the admissions process, as long as the recent Supreme Court decisions are still the law of the land. Colleges are not obligated to follow any of the guidelines issued by the administration.
But there's the possibility, I assume, that this tells you which way the administration is heading?
I think it's pretty clear, and it's probably no surprise to anybody who's looked at what's going on in Washington, that there is sort of a leaning or an orientation toward reducing or eliminating the use of race in college admissions.
You do take race into account now. You're allowed to, and you do, as I understand it.
That's correct. The Supreme Court has been pretty clear about what we cannot do and less clear about how far we can go in considering race. So, for instance, quotas have never been considered legal in our system. But using race and ethnicity as one factor in a series of factors in a holistic admissions process is, in fact, the law of the land and still completely legal. And colleges and universities, at least the ones I've talked to, have indicated they'll keep doing that.
Some college leaders have suggested that so far this is just guidance and it's not law and they're not changing anything. Do you worry at all that the Trump administration might object to that?
Well, I think they can object. I'm not sure that they have any recourse to unilaterally change the law of the land, and certainly no recourse to change the Supreme Court decisions, which have said the way colleges and universities do it now is completely legal. But certainly with the appointment of a new Supreme Court justice, and Anthony Kennedy being the swing vote on previous college admissions decisions, I think there is some concern among college leaders that we may deal with a new reality within a few years. And that's troubling to some people, and I think people are already sort of planning and thinking about what happens if, in fact, the Supreme Court decisions are reversed.
John Backenstead is the Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management and Marketing, that's quite a title, at DePaul University. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Backenstead.
Thank you for having me.
4번 5번 6번 '방송을 잘 듣고 답을 하기 바랍니다.
When you buy something online, chances are you'd like it to arrive as soon as possible, preferably with free shipping. That pressure to get products to consumers fast has sparked a warehousing boom. More companies appear to be moving their distribution centers to the Midwest to be closer to customers, and for some cities in Southwest Ohio, that could mean thousands of new jobs. Jess Mador of member station WYSO sent this report.
One of Southwest Ohio's newest and biggest retail hubs sits near the Dayton International Airport. The massive, mile-long facility belongs to Cincinnati-based Procter & Gamble. On the warehouse floor, the air is thick with the sound of honking horns as 1,000 workers wearing protective glasses and high-visibility vests zoom around on motorized machines in every direction for as far as the eye can see. Jeff Leroy is with Procter & Gamble and says the entire facility is digital.
As the shipments come in from the manufacturing sites around the country, we know where that is by automation, and allows us to get product to the shopper on the shelf in a lot of times less than 48 hours.
Today, about a dozen new hires are in training. They're learning to operate computerized lift trucks designed to move heavy loads from one of the facility's 83,000 shelves. They practice maneuvering in circles through an obstacle course of orange traffic cones. These P&G workers start at around $15 an hour, more than $5 more than the area's lowest skilled warehouse jobs. Ohio's within a day's drive of more than half the country's population. And as more distribution centers locate here, state officials say competition for workers is stiffening. Leroy says people who can do the jobs robots still can't are in highest demand.
And so where we go in the next 12 to 18 months, using automation for stocking shelves or the robots or automatic guided vehicles, I mean, it's no longer going to be people just picking up boxes and put on shelves like they might have done 50 years ago. It's really going forward into the future with innovative high-tech jobs where people need different skills than they would have needed even, say, 10 years ago.
Advanced mechanical skills, computer programming training, and data analytics, skills that help workers coordinate with robots, drones, and other technology coming to the warehouses of the future. Mark Cohen runs the Columbia Business School's Retail Studies program. He says nationally, there's a big competition for workers with the right skill set.
Communities that win have to support the development of skills.
Cohen says companies across the country's supply chain are facing a significant workforce gap.
This is a particular issue in communities that have relied on heavy manufacturing and now are, in some cases, struggling in an enormously consequential way.
In many parts of Ohio, unemployment still hovers above the national average. To grow high-tech jobs, Governor John Kasich has pushed to better align workforce training programs to the skills employers say workers now need. For Malcolm Bird, that meant adding a logistics industry certificate and new computer skills to his resume. The Dayton 27-year-old says the training opened the door to a better job and bumped up his starting pay from $12 an hour to at least $15.
I was able to go to the next level, graduating from the retail end to corporate sales. So I was able to do that with this job development program.
Dayton economic development officials would like to see more unskilled entry-level and dislocated manufacturing workers make this kind of transition. For NPR News, I'm Jess Mador in Dayton.
7번. (8번) 9번 이제 듣기 및 말하기 문제가 끝났습니다.